Ladies and gentlemen, many Zergs out there are confused as to why we died at Protoss. I have one lovely concerned viewer who has a replay for us, and we're going to go over this now and try to figure out why did the Zerg lose and what can we, as the Swarm, do better. ZvP is a very difficult matchup. It's a thinking person's matchup because the Protoss can do all kinds of shit. And the match ends up being very different depending on what that shit is. Another thing that I've heard on the grapevine, not literally on a grapevine because that would be weird, they don't talk, but one thing that I heard from Protoss players is that I macro in the matchup and they face a lot of Zerg cheese. So if you're playing a sort of macro-oriented game, one thing that is still important for you to figure out is what are your power spikes where you have something that's really good that allows you to deal damage. Because sometimes Zergs say, oh, I do macro, but they don't actually have any goal that they're moving toward that allows them to actually wound the Protoss economy or run over their army or deny a key base or something like that. If you saw the breakdown of the Cyril versus Showtime games that I did, that was really eye-opening for me in seeing the power spikes that Cyril was going for in the matchup and how he was adjusting that based on which map it was on. So the first thing that we've got going on here that's going to be a problem is not pulling off gas. So it's okay to mine gas, and I don't know what the strat ends up being this game. But if you're going to continue to mine gas at this point, this means that you're going to be aggressive, most likely. This is a pretty short rush map, so if you go for Ling speed into Overlord speed, you could just die to early adepts. It seems kind of dangerous to get both of those early on. And you need minerals to get your third base and to get your queen count up and to get your drone count up. This gas mining right here is setting us behind. So I want to see, when do you pull off gas? If you pull off gas. This is a diamond level Zerg versus Protoss, by the way. Third base is going out at 30 supply. You see a problem here? The Lings weren't with the drone when it was trying to get over there. And you would have had enough minerals to afford the base, actually, at the time the drone arrived if you pulled off gas. Just a fun fact here, Ling should be with the drone, so you can take it right away. Okay, killed that, that's cool. 2 injects, nice. Getting a third queen, and we are just getting gas. Okay, Overlord speed. Well, at least you're spending it, that's something. You do have 2 Overlords in position to get a complete scout. It's going to be DT, which is kind of rough to deal with when you have Overlord speed, but you do want that to help your Overseers and Overlords against Archons and stuff later on anyway. Okay. So we're getting into basically a 2 base mineral, 3 gas roach situation. We need a lair. We desperately need a lair. Okay, it's going. So overall, I'm not too upset with the opening. It's pretty much fine. I wouldn't do this opening, but it's not bad. Like, you've got money going, you're constantly producing stuff, your inject uptime is good. Overlord speed allows you to get a scout. I would say this early game is pretty good. Klappa. You don't have a 415 spore at each base, so if DT show up, you could be in a lot of trouble. Fortunately, your opponent messed up their build and is getting charged before making DTs and randomly made a bunch of stalkers. So this would be an example of a diamond versus diamond. You're getting away with stuff that a master Protoss who went for a Dark Shrine build would have been killing your third. Your third is dead in this game because your lair is too late to make Overseers and you didn't make a 415 spore. 415 spore at the very latest against Protoss. It's going to be something that helps you against Void Ray, Oracle, DT. You can see observers if they're flying around. All kinds of benefits for that. That being said, you do have 2 base mineral, 3 gas. We're a little bit behind the Protoss, but not majorly so. I'm kind of curious, what are we going to do with the overload speed? Looks like you did get an overload scout in. That's good. Well played. And then my follow-up question is, what is our army going to be? Because we have no Evo chamber, and that's a really good way to up your power over the course of the game. 0/0 units are not as good as +1 attack units, let alone +2 attack units, let alone +2 attack +1 armor units. You get the idea. Upgrades are good, and a nice time to just get in the habit of dropping an Evo chamber would be 5 minutes to 5:10. Kind of regardless of whether it's ZvT or ZvP, around 5:10 is a good time where you would have figured out if they were going to go for like an early charge let all in and you needed to just make roaches and not take an Evo chamber upgrade. But in this case, you scouted the third. So there's not really a reason to not be getting your Evo upgrade going. So if you want to play Roach Ravager, you can get range attack. If you want to play Lingbane Hydra, you can get melee. But you should get something, and we're woefully missing any upgrade momentum. Because the opponent doesn't have a forge yet, you can really punish them hard for not having upgrades just by having +2 attack units later on. And now we're getting punished for getting spore crawlers. 415 spore at the very latest every game. Just a great habit to get into. We do defend the base though. And they lost all DTs, so that was a pretty big mistake from them. Not really picking those units up with the prism. And another good habit to get into is after your opponent throws units at you and they all die, take a 4th base. Write that down. Your opponent throws units at you and they all die, take a 4th base. That means Hellions, that means DT Prism, that means Adepts. Any clump of stuff that you just killed and is now like out of the equation, take a 4th base. Super good habit. You're going to have the money in just a couple seconds, and your opponent has no way of denying that. And this is still pretty late for a 4th base timing. Cyril takes his 4th base at 5 minutes in a normal macro game. So if you're a mortal human like myself, if you took that at 5:30 to 6 minutes, that would be a pretty decent timing. Okay, we're getting a Baneling Nest. We still have not built any Evo chamber. You could make 2 as well, get double attack upgrades. That's pretty solid. Your opponent also doesn't have a forge. So fortunately, we're not being punished for that, but if Protoss had a forge and they're chrono boosting upgrades, then that would be a way that Zerga's gonna die. 5 minutes to 5:10, 1 Evo chamber. Or if you want to skip Roach and just go for a Ling style, you can go for like a 4-minute Evo for a fast +1 melee. Hydra Den Infestation Pit. We have Evo chambers! God be praised! We have no upgrades going though. Do we have enough money for upgrades? Yeah, we have enough money. Did you know that you can hotkey your Evo chambers with your hatches and just tab over to them? That's something that I try to do sometimes. It's just a good way to make sure you don't lose track of them. And then if you have your hatcheries selected in the command card, you can see the hatches and then the Evos, and there's a little white dot on each of them if they're researching something. So as you're flipping through your hatches, doing your injects, you can just track your upgrades. I would say for your fundamentals so far, zooming out, looking at the big picture stuff, your saturation of your bases is good. It's good. Your drone count is great for your level. You don't have a problem droning your bases. Your upgrades are completely non-existent. It's almost as though you didn't even know that that's in StarCraft 2, and they're super good. So get the upgrades and think about just running them over the course of the game, because that means that every second that passes, all of your stuff is going to get better equipment and armor, which is fantastic. So get those upgrades going. Another thing is, dear God, please get 415 1 spore per base. It's giving me like stress just looking at these bases of like, I hope a DT doesn't just run into this base, because Protoss players will do that. 1 DT into this base and it's just total chaos. But if it was a spore here, you can have the queen start attacking it. You know where it is. You can pull your drones away, or your drones can surround it and the queen kills it. Just one spore per base, please. Your opening build was fine. I don't really need to arm wrestle you to do a different build. Burrow Roach Harass. Now imagine this with Evo Chamber upgrades as well. +1 roaches. This is pretty cool though. This is like the Zerg version of Dark Templar. You'll love to see it. Okay. Protoss going for that 4th base. Roach is being obnoxious. That's cool. Do we have a hive going? We do. Hydra upgrades. They're going for Stalker, Adept, Zealot. Their army kind of sucks. Oh, they did get a forge. They got 2 forges even. But you unpowered it, nice. You're getting 1-1. Yay! So happy. That's what I love to see. Oh my gosh. That is a lot. That is a lot of Hydras. I'm scared. What in the earth? They're attacking their own gateway in confusion. Okay. So this is a problem. This is a huge problem. Oh my god. Oh no. Are you a Zerg player who is super duper far ahead of Protoss with complete map dominance, more supply and more of a bank, and you want to throw the game? Make only Hydras. Yeah, the Colossi are a hard counter to this. This Hydra tech would be pretty cool if you got Lurker Den going. But yeah, if they had Storm, this army would be just wet noodle time. The creep is phenomenal. I applaud you. Give you a clappa. Great creep spread. This is like master's level creep spread minimum. Why do you have so many overseers? I'm down. Maybe it's feedback protection. That's cool. Okay. So going in here. Hydra's doing some damage. Abduct the Colossi. So the way you micro this is you just hold position the army, hold position the Hydras, select the Vipers, make sure they're like over the Hydras, and have them abduct the Colossi. You could beat this army with the army that you have, honestly. So let's see what you do here. Okay, we're kind of doing a runaway strategy. Abduct the Colossi. Oh, nice. Oh, no, 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 no. Whoa, 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 whoa. I think you move commanded? What? Really simple procedure. Really simple. Park the army here. Just put it here. Hold position the Hydras. So they just stand there, and they don't chase anything, and they shoot anything that comes into range. Get the Vipers, have them fly like this over the Hydras, and abduct the Colossi so the Colossi are thrown into the heap of Hydras, and the Hydras just kill them. We've overcomplicated the micro here. This is an A-move unit. If you're trying to micro Hydras like you're Bjorn playing with Marines, you're just injuring your wrist. There's no benefit. Nothing good will come of that. With the Hydra-Viper, just hold position the Hydras. You've got a great setup here. This is perfect. Hold position the Hydras. Abduct the stuff into the Hydras. Don't run the Hydras into Colossi. You will only experience doom and suffering. You could A move as well. This we don't move command. Maybe it was a misclick. Okay, so what do we remax on when we realized our Hydras just got destroyed? We make 24 Hydras, okay. So Lurker here would actually be a unit that would just demolish this army. Mass Lurker is pretty scary for Protoss. Protoss needs to get carriers or air to deal with Lurkers unless they have like 8 Immortals. This player has 2 Immortals and 5 Colossi. 5 Colossi is a power spike where they're going to fuck anything that's Lingbane Hydra based. Lingbane Hydra against this is just going to get destroyed, and it's going to be very sad. And it's not because the Protoss like outmaneuvered you. They just straight up built better stuff. You built stuff that gets hard countered by Colossi, and they kept making Colossi, and you kept making Hydras. And the Hydra unit management wasn't good. But the plus side is you got really ahead in this game, which means there's hope to beat this army. You just need to, for one, figure out how to micro Hydra-Viper, and then for 2, figure out, okay, if they're playing for the hard counters of Hydras, what can I pivot into? Lurker, honestly, is a really good unit for countering the units that counter Hydras. So you should always have, in a sense, what is my main unit in my army right now? And if my opponent hard counters that unit, what is my pivot unit? Because if they get 3 Colossi and they beat your Hydras in a fight, and then the next fight they have 5 Colossi and you have Hydras again, it's going to be even worse for you than the last fight. And you shouldn't feel bad either, because I've made this mistake many times as well. This is sort of like a carryover from Heart of the Swarm back when the Hydra used to be the unit that I recommended people spam against Protoss. And that was before Adepts were invented. It was before like Immortals got buffed as much. It was before High Templar were really as oppressive as they are now. So I don't fault you for making Hydras. It's a unit that can shoot down, it can shoot up, and it's good against Stalkers. So that may be why we made it this game. I think honestly with just better micro you could have won this match, or after losing that big clump of Hydras, you just spam 20 Lurkers. 20 Lurkers would destroy this. It would make the Protoss probably balance wine in the chat. It would be so crushing. So don't spam mass Hydras. One thing that I really took note of in Cyril's games that I was studying was that he would make a set amount of Hydras and then stop and then tech up, get more upgrades, get more Ling Bane, like get the Hive tech and stuff going, and try to get into other units instead of like stubbornly spamming a unit that's hard countered by Colossi and hard countered by Storm. And then another thing too, get your Evos at like 5 minutes, 5:10, and keep those upgrades running for the rest of the game. Don't forget your 415 spores. Your creep spread is amazing. You should be very proud of yourself. Your injects are pretty good. Yeah, like pretty solid macro, honestly. It's the upgrade timing, and then not knowing how to micro Hydra-Viper, and then not knowing how to pivot into an army that's different from Hydras that could deal with this. But well played. Thank you for submitting the replay and getting a bit of analysis. Hope you found this useful, Siam. Cheers.